I trust that you are well and that you're having an amazing day so far. All right, so for today, we will be focusing on our grade 3 English lesson on capitalization. So, we'll be doing our grade 3 English lesson on capitalization. And before we start with our lesson on capitalization, we're going to log in to aplusstudents.ca, and we're going to log in with our username as well as our password. All right, so once we've logged in with our username as well as our password, and then we're going to select the subject of language arts, grade 3. All right, so once we have selected language arts, which is English, grade 3, we're going to scroll down up until we get to the chapter of capitalization. So the chapter of capitalization, we're going to be focusing on the chapter of capitalization and the lessons that we are tonight is capitalizing the names of people and pets, titles of respect, capitalizing days, months, and holidays, capitalizing the names of places and geographic features, as well as capitalizing proper adjectives, nationalities, and languages. So that is going to be our focus lessons for today. And we are going to we are going to be logged into aplusstudents.ca, the tutorial page where we'll also be doing our different tests from there. And then we'll do the interaction session on our whiteboard. All right, so as we're starting, so with capitalization, right, we need to capitalize names of people. We even capitalize names of pets as well as titles of respect. And capitalization, we even need to capitalize, the first word of the sentence. So whenever we start a sentence, it is important to start with a capital letter. So within this chapter of capitalization, we are going to find out about the different, let's say, names, places, things, titles of respect that we need to capitalize, right? Starting by names, starting with basically proper nouns. And we also need to know the difference between capitalizing proper nouns and also what is written as a common noun. Into our very first lesson of capitalizing the names of people and pets as well as titles of respect, right? So, capitalizing, we need to capitalize the names of people as well as pets. So, your pet, whether it is a dog, a cat, we need to capitalize it. So, names of people as well. So, if your name is, so if your name is Anna, Leslie, Brown, then basically both your names plus your surname needs to be capitalized. All right? So your names and your surname needs to be capitalized. If you have a pet dog, pet cat, fish, and you named your pet, then the name of your pet also to be capitalized. Example, Spotty or Fluffy. Capitalize it, right? So when it also comes to capitalizing, right, we need to capitalize a title of respect if it's with a name or as a name. So titles of respect would be basically the names of your president, the names of the doctors, right? Basically, people with a specific title of respect. And if we look at President Nixon, right, that being a title of respect, the name of the president, where we say President Nixon or President Obama, President Ramaphosa, um, whatever the name of the president is, we need to capitalize it, which means that we capitalize the name president or the word president, plus we capitalize um, the name of the name used, which is the president's name. If we use words like it is a president or we're referring to the president, then we don't capitalize it. So, a president, the president, we don't capitalize. But if we specifically make mention of the specific president, right, then it needs to be capitalized. The same with a doctor. So if you go and visit the doctor, right, and you are telling everybody that you're going to the doctor or you're going to see a doctor, that is basically generalizing, right? Because you could be going to a. So you need to write that in lower cases. But as soon as you make mention of the name of the doctor, for example, Dr. Chen, Dr. Abrams, Dr. Brown, right? Then we need to capitalize it. This is you specifying, being specific in the specific name that you are using. But if we generalize, right, that is when we use it as a common noun, we need to write it in lower cases. All right. So when it comes to capitalization, right, we see that we are going to be focusing on quite a few things that you need to capitalize, right? Starting by names of people and even going as far as capitalizing languages. So there are a few golden rules when it comes to capitalizing, right? And when it comes to capitalization, the first golden rule is to we need to capitalize the first word of every sentence. So when we are either writing something, whether you're writing in your journal, we're writing a text, we're writing anything, right? Then you need to write the first word of that sentence with a capital letter. So we capitalize the first word of every sentence as well as every line. Meaning if you're going to the next line of a sentence, right, and you're about to start with a new sentence, new paragraph, we start with a capital letter. And there we have an example. I got up early, full stop. Then I went to school. So when we even go to the next line, right, which means that we're starting a new sentence, then we need to capitalize it. Capitalize the first letter of the first word of that sentence. Okay, secondly, we need to capitalize the first word of a quoted sentence. So if you are writing anything or you're about to quote what the next person says, then the first word of that quoted sentence needs to be capitalized. So remember, we start our sentence with a capital letter, but also if we are quoting sentences, then the first word of that quoted sentence need to be capitalized. All right, so we also capitalize the names of people and we capitalize the names of pets. We capitalize surnames, right? Like Anna, John, Mary, Susan, Sam, whatever the name is, we need to capitalize it, right? That is basically putting respect on your name. So your name, your second name, your third name needs to be capitalized. All right, then we also need to capitalize names of streets, cities, provinces, states, and countries, right? So you need to capitalize all of that. But remember, you need to be specific. If you are making mention of the name of the street, and then you need to specifically say what street it is, for example, Washington Street, right? But if you just make reference of go down that street or go down that road, then we don't capitalize it. You need to specify which road, which street before you are able to capitalize it. The same with cities. If you just say that I live in that city, right, generalizing, then you need to write it in lower cases. But as soon as you specify the name of the city, the name of the province, the name of the state or country, then we need to write it in a capital letter. But if you generalize, then it needs to be lowercase. We also capitalize places, right? The places or specific location. And we capitalize the words derived from proper nouns. So, proper nouns we need to capitalize. And that is where the different also comes in with common nouns and proper nouns. Remember, with proper nouns, you are basically being specific, right? You are being specific in the name of a person instead of saying she, right? Or instead of saying he. Because if we just say she or he, we are generalizing. But as soon as we give the person's name or we say the person's name, that is when it's basically using a proper noun. So all proper nouns needs to be capitalized. Then we also capitalize the names of books, movies, arts, articles, and so on. So, for example, 100 Years of Solitude. Within our lessons today, we are going to find out how to capitalize the names of, for example, maybe books or movies, right? Because it's not just writing the first word of the book, right? But how to also capitalize titles of books or names of books. We also capitalize the pronoun I. So whenever you use I am or um, I go to school, or whenever you use the pronoun I, we need to capitalize the pronoun I. You cannot write the pronoun I with a lowercase, right? The only time you write the letter I, not the pronoun I, the letter I in lowercase is when the letter is, let's say, for example, within a word. But as soon as you write the pronoun I, where it stands on its own, that is when it is capitalized, whether it is at the beginning of the sentence, at the end of the sentence, in the middle of the sentence, it needs to be capitalized. And then we also capitalize interjections and exclamations. So if you are stressing a point, shocked, surprise, we need to capitalize it. And we also capitalize opening and closing of letters. How we start a letter and how we end a letter. We need to capitalize it. All right, so that is basically just a few golden rules when it comes to capitalizing, right? So even when we capitalize, we need to capitalize the days of the week, the months of the year, right? And then we also made mention of the rest. All right, so we're going back to our tutorial now. So we made mention that we need to capitalize names of people and pets as well as titles of respect. So now we need to choose the correct capitalization if needed. And if the sentence is already correct, don't make any changes. All right, so we are going to look at our sentence, right? And we to correct any capitalization errors, right? That's only if there is any. For example, ask Owen to hand you the hammer and nails. So ask Owen to the hammer and nails. So we are basically just going to choose firstly the capitalization or whichever word that is capitalized, right? And if it needs corrected, then we will. But in this case, Owen is the name of a person, right? And that is what we are capitalizing. So Owen is a name of person. And at the moment, there is no capitalization errors. So Owen was the name of we had to capitalize, which is correct. Who is the tall girl next to Christine? So who is the tall girl next to Christine? So if we look at the sentence, who is the tall girl next to Christine, right? Christine is the word that needs capitalization or capitalizing, right? However, we need to write it with a capital letter. So Christine needs to be written with a capital letter and not lower letters because it's a name of a person. All right, then we also have my pen pal Dory is curious about everything. So my pen pal Dory is curious about everything. So who can identify the capitalization within that sentence? If we identify a word that is capitalized within the sentence, then it's basically the word that needs capitalized Dory, right? However, we need to fix the error because Dory needs to be written with a capital letter because Dory is a name or the name of a person. So once again, we need to capitalize the names of people as well as pets, and we also capitalize titles of respect. And remember, do not forget that when we put a title of respect or when we write the names when it comes to the titles of respect, then we only write the name or we write it as a name, but we do not. That's only if it's general. When if only that's only if it's specific. But once we generalize and say things like a president, the president, and not making mention of who the president is, then we write it in lower cases. All right, so now we're going to do our test, right, on capitalizing the names of people and pets and titles of respect. So we're going to choose the correct capitalization, right, if needed. And if the sentence is already correct, don't make any changes. So I voted for Carter for class president. So if we look at the question, right, as well as the sentence in this test, Which is the capitalization? Which word needs capitalization within the sentence? Is it Carter or is it class? And also, if you look at that specific word, does the word need to be fixed when it comes to capitalizing? Or do we need to correct it? That is the word. Do we need to correct the word? And if we need to correct the word, how are we going to correct the word? So, yes, Carter is correct. So, I voted for Carter for class president. So, Carter is correct. But if we look at Carter, what is the capitalization error currently when we look specifically at that name? All right, so Carter is correct, but we need to write Carter with a capital letter. Remember, it's the name of a person, so we need to write Carter with a capital letter, but that is cool. I was walking quickly and ran into Franklin. So I was walking quickly and ran into Franklin. So we need to choose the correct capitalization within the sentence. Is Franklin or was? And also, when you write it in the comment section, please also write it with the correct. If there's any errors or any changes that needs to be made, then please write it with the correct changes. All right, so Franklin is our correct capitalization, right? Because Franklin is the name of a person. And yes, when we write the name of a person, we need to write it with a capital letter. So well done. So we need to write a letter because remember, the name of a person, it starts with a capital letter. So well done for correcting that. My friend Bonnie plays the organ and the piano. So my friend Bonnie plays the organ and the piano. So if we look at that sentence, we need to choose the correct capitalization, right? And if there is an error with the capitalization, then we are going to make changes. So is our capitalization the word that we need to capitalize or friend? Bonnie or friend? So my friend Bonnie plays the organ and the piano. So we need to choose the correct capitalization. Is it Bonnie or is it friend? All right, so if we choose the correct capitalization if needed, then we are going to choose Bonnie. All right, so Bonnie is correct. However, if we write the word Bonnie, then Bonnie needs to be written with a capital letter B because it's the name of a person. So Bonnie is correct. Who is the tall girl next to Rita? So we're going to have to choose the correct capitalization, right? Is it girl or is it Rita? And if we choose the correct capitalization, does it need to be corrected or do we have to make any changes to that specific word? So, who is the tall girl next to Rita? Is it girl or Rita? All right, so if we choose the correct word and then the name of a person is going to be Rita, right? Because who is the tall girl next to Rita? Remember, Rita is the name person, so we're going to choose Rita. If we choose girl, then girl is the common noun, right? It's where we are generalizing. That can be any girl. But when it comes to capitalization, then remember we capitalize names of people, but not generalizing. So if we say girl, boy, man, woman, then that is basically us generalizing, right? It's a common noun. But as soon as we make mention of that person's name, like for example, Rita or Anna or John, then that needs capitalization. All right. Okay, so now we're going on to our next lesson, which is capitalizing days, months, as well as holidays. So also when it comes to capitalization, right, or capitalizing, then we need to capitalize the days of the week, which is 7 days of the week. We need to capitalize the months of the year, basically all 12 months of the year, as well as any special holidays, right? We need to capitalize it, meaning that it needs to be written with a capital letter. So days of the week, months of the year, as well as special holidays needs to be capitalized. And if we capitalize days of the week, months of the year, as well as holidays, then we also need to include the words like day and eve. For example, Christmas Day, we capitalize. New Year's Eve. So even Eve, we capitalize. So we are going to click the correct capitalization within the sentence, right? And if the sentence is already correct, then we're not going to make any changes. And if it needs changes, then we are going to make the correct changes. All right. So these blueberries will be ready to harvest in July. So these blueberries will be ready to harvest in July. So if we look at our sentence, right, which is the correct capitalization within that sentence, whether it is the day of the week, the months of the year, or are they making mention of a special holiday? All right, so if we choose the correct capitalization, then we are going to choose July because July is the month of the year. The second one is since Tuesday is my birthday, may we have chocolate cake. So since Tuesday is my birthday, may we have chocolate cake. So we are going to correct or we're going to choose the correct capitalization within that sentence. So since Tuesday is my birthday, may we have chocolate cake. So we have to choose the correct capitalization. So if you look at that sentence, right, what can you identify? Like, what is the correct capitalization within that sentence? Whether it is either a day of the week being mentioned, a month of the year being mentioned, or are they making mention of a special holiday? right, so Tuesday. We have chosen Tuesday, right? So Tuesday is the day of the week. So you can say it's the day of a week. And Tuesday needs to be written capital letter. And then in our country, people have celebrated Veterans Day since 1919, right? So we are going to have to correct, we have to click to correct the capitalization if needed, right? So within the sentence, we are going to leave the word Veterans Day because Veterans Day needs to be capitalized. And Veterans Day is the name of a holiday, right? So it's the name of a holiday. All right. So now we're going to our test, right? And remember, we are only now being tested on capitalizing days, months, as well as holidays. The only lessons that we do, we basically get tested on that. So we are going to click to correct the capitalization if needed, right? I forgot my book bag on the bus on Tuesday. So we are going to select the word within that sentence that needs capitalization or that is supposed to be capitalized. And then if we need to make any changes or if we need to correct the word either in capitalizing it or in putting it in lowercase, then we need to choose that. So what word needs capitalization? Or what is the correct capitalization word within that sentence? I forgot my book bag on the bus on Tuesday. So if we look at the two answers, is it option one, which is Tuesday, or option two, also Tuesday, but capitalized? All right, so if we look at our sentence, right, then Tuesday is our correct word that needs capitalization, right? And the second option, which is Tuesday with a capital T, that is the correct word. Because remember, days of the week, we capitalize it. Did you see the parade on St. Patrick's Day? So, did you see the parade on St. Patrick's Day? So, the word in blue, which is St. Patrick's Day, right, which is a holiday, right? We need to capitalize that word. So, how are we going to capitalize it? Is it the first option, which is all lowercase St. Patrick's Day, or the second option, which is all capitalized words, which is St. Patrick's Day? All right, so we're going to choose the second option, which is capitalize S for Saint, capitalize the P for Patrick's, and day is also capitalized. All right. Yes, well done. But remember, day also needs to be capitalized. So in our country, people have celebrated Veterans Day since 1990. So in our country, people have celebrated Veterans Day since 1919. So the word Veterans Day within The sentence, right, is the name of a holiday. But now we need to write it correctly. Is it option one, which is Veterans Day, both lowercase, or option two, which is Veterans Day, which is capitalized V, as well as day? All right. So if we look at the word Veterans Day, we are going to then write Veterans Day with capital letters, which is V for veterans and capitalized D for day. All right. So that is us capitalizing days, months, as well as holidays. Remember also we capitalize names of places, geographic features, and we also capitalize proper adjectives, right? Nationalities and language. So if you from South Africa, then you are South African, right? The same with, let's go over here. So if we capitalize nationalities, if we capitalize nationality, if you from, if you are from, let's say from Canada, then your nationality is Canadian, right? Same with a country. Your country needs to be capitalized. Whatever country you live in, you capitalize it. If you live in whichever city, you need to capitalize it. So if you're from Canada, then it means that you need to write Canada in capital letters. If you from the province, maybe Asia or Europe, we capitalize it, right? Languages that you speak, if you speak French, we capitalize it. If you speak English, we need to capitalize it. Same with religion, right? Whichever religion you are practicing, we also capitalize it. So it's either Islam or Christianity, or you can say, I'm Jewish, and then we need to capitalize it, right? So we need to also know when to capitalize something, and we also need to know, especially when it comes to putting respect on certain things, specifically our names, specifically titles, right? And not forgetting, guys, the start of a sentence that needs capitalization. All right. So if we look at the at this little not test, but the activity in front of us, you need to write the days of the week, months of of the year, or holidays beginning with a capital letter. So if we look at the word Monday, right? So which means that Monday we are writing with a capital letter. capital letter M for Monday. February, which is the month of a year, we write in capital letter. Saint Patrick's Day, right? Saint. Even this word is abbreviated. Capital letter Patrick's Day, capital letter for day. And then Saturday. So you can go back and you can capitalize those activities as well as fixing capitalization errors within the text. So here we need to rewrite the sentences below with the correct capitalization. We bought my sister Nike sandals from Canada. So if we rewrite the sentence below with the correct capitalization, right? Before we start, we can then say we needs capitalizing as well as Canada. So if we rewrite it, then we are going to say we bought my sister Nike sandals from, and Canada being capitalized, from Canada. And then you are also going to choose the words that needs fixing or that needs capitalizing within the other sentences. Starting with the within the second one. Chicago needs capitalizing, right? And December. You see, here they're saying a Christmas festival. We need to, for example, Christmas Day, which is a holiday, that needs capitalizing, not, for example, things like Christmas festival. So holidays specifically. And remember, when it comes to countries, cities, streets, right, we need to specify. If you don't specify the name of the country, the street, the province, the name of the holiday, and you're just generalizing, then we are not going to write that with a capital letter. All right, so that is basically it for capitalizing, right? And with capitalizing, on the chapter of capitalizing, we focused on capitalizing the names of people, pets, titles of respect. So names of people needs to be capitalized. The name of your pet. If you say the dog, then it needs to be lowercase. But if we say Spotty, which is the name of your pet, then we need to capitalize it. The same with months of the year, days of the week, as well as special holidays. So, thank you very much, everybody, for joining the lesson. That is now the end of our lesson on capitalization. Should have an amazing day further. Goodbye.